we like to know what's happening, but there's so many different news sources. And then there's one thing that is not really in the news, which is all these tech blogs or blogs from vendors. And they often have a ton of really, really good advice, a ton of really good information, but they don't really get distributed that much because, understandably, it's not news. It's not the news, and the news outlets are not interested in. It's just too close to self-promotion. Sometimes it is pure self-promotion. Sometimes it's really, really great insights of what's going on, or tips and so forth. So with a friend, we're looking at how could we, both of us had been working on content marketing for a long time. Even though I hate to use that word, at least people understand what it is. I find it just should be educational, but we've been doing this for a few decades, and sometimes we're kind of disheartened by the fact that this great study done by a small company that doesn't have the channels to distribute, and we read it and we're like, wow, this is amazing. Why doesn't nobody know about this? So we made a newsletter / micro media. I don't know if we can call it a media, but where we go and aggregate a lot of these news sources and aggregate all these vendor blogs and so on, and then categorize them. And we've built several. So there's an international edition, there's a French edition, there's a Spanish edition, a German edition, an Italian edition. That's it for now. And each one is only using local content. So each one is locally sourced from local vendors, local news, local information only. We surveyed a bunch of people and we realized that they were not that interested in having sort of, international news. They can get that. That'll hit them. If it's really important, it'll come through their local channels. So we really concentrated on making each one a local news, and it just gives the recap. The design is really plain, no images, just the recap in like 50 words, and then link to the original source. And it's been doing great. There's like 125,000 readers monthly now.
Wow.
Readers, not subscribers. There's more subscribers, but those who open it and actually read, it's 125,000. And we really just want to have a simple way for people to. It was the idea that you could have the debrief of the week or of the day in 10 minutes. And you can have it on email. Email format I personally like a lot because it's a bit like the old newspapers. You have it all in one place. You don't have to browse around the website. And in my opinion, it should all be contained within the email rather than thousands of links out and just promotional for an article. So now I have to click out, and if I'm on the subway, it's not going to work. So now what do I do? So if it's contained in the email, the summary, at least all the important part, and then I can zoom in and click through to all the ones I want. So yeah.
I enjoy reading it a lot. I like that format because sometimes you're just exactly like saying you're on the subway or you're having a coffee. You kind of need everything right there. And I feel like social media is great, but it's sometimes it's so chaotic, right? And so there's something about kind of not only having the summary, the format of it is great, but also just knowing kind of the curation that takes place. And I think this really gets into the, kind of who's putting this together. And I think whether someone's subscribing to the newsletter that you publish, Martin, or 10 Minutes News, I feel like they're getting that sort of perspective in their inbox. Yeah. And it's a beautiful format to learn.
We work hard at removing all the sensationalism and all the clickbait, and really just look at, okay, what is really the news and what is really the data that they're sharing, and is this helpful? Good. Then we've built quite a sophisticated scoring system, so we score it. So if it's purely self-promotional, it gets pushed down. If it's educational, it goes up. If it's factual and so on, and then we try to really summarize it in a way that it takes out all the clickbait and just focus on what's actually happening, because there's just so much clickbait. Social media unfortunately rewards clickbait so well. So yeah.
But it does. But I think to a point you made earlier around many of these technology companies are investing heavily in research, in data analysis, and doing things that, frankly, a lot of other organizations can't do. So there's an amazing perspective, and I would encourage listeners to to take this seriously, right? Because there's, I mean, you and I have both worked kind of on the other, on the side of, these technology companies. You see all the work that goes into it, and it's honestly really, really good stuff often, or it can be. And then the other thing that I want to share is the, I did a little survey recently where I was asking people, like, what did they want in media? And overwhelmingly, it was how to get better at running their hotel businesses. Like, you made the distinction between news and other things earlier. So many of the industry publications are focused on news. This company bought that company.
Yeah.
There's value to that, but for the people operating, even for a lot of investors as well, they want to know, okay, how do I make my business better? How do I make the numbers better? How do I, delight, empower my teams? How do I delight my guests? They need stuff around this, and so they're going to find that in your newsletter. So where can when people listening to this or watching this, where can they go to sign up?
So 10minutes.news, 10 the number
Amazing.
10 minutes.news, and there's multiple languages, and they can sign up for the different languages. And just to bounce off what you were saying, we notice, of course, there's all these acquisitions and new hotel openings, so we've created a category where that goes there. So people, if you're interested in that, okay, you can just go scroll down to that part of the news, and then get the information for that. But yeah, as you said, there is so much hard work that goes. Vendors actually, I'm surprised how much love they put into putting together great pieces of content and great pieces of research that they share for free, because with the hope that people are going to come and buy their products eventually. But I've worked with a lot of companies to do that, and sometimes I remember we did the distribution chart and we had to put the competitors up, and nobody at the company agreed. It's like, no, why are we putting? I say, well, if we don't, then it's not actually helpful research. If we don't, then it's promotional, so we have to. So they're like, okay, fine, let's do it, and it was a great success, right? And they're all happy with it now. So they also go out on a limb to actually make great stuff, and they pay good money for it. So it's worth it to get in the know.
Amazing.
And it's
Well, I
free for
appreciate
vendors it's free for vendors to add their feed, so their news can go into the feed as well.
Amazing. Well, I'll include a link in the show notes so people can learn more. But I appreciate the investments that you are making now, and I've always made throughout your career, Martin, to educate us all. It's a very valuable resource. So I encourage everyone to sign up and subscribe.